Hello and welcome to the first video of my Worlds 2022 preview, where we're going to cover all the teams, all 24 teams before the event. We may have to double up some days when all the teams come in on rapid fire, but for now it'll be one team a day. After that, I will be doing a video where I rank the roles 1 through 24 in all 5, and then after that have a predictions video out before play-ins, predicting who's going to do, how they're going to do in play-ins and things like that. And then between play-ins and Worlds, I'll be doing that as well while playing in the main event. So that sort of stuff you're not going to really find here. I mean, I'll briefly touch on it when I go over like how a region's done recently, especially for the minor regions. But outside of that, it's really hard to tell because you don't know who exactly is going to be there, what seed they're going to be, which plays a big role in how they're going to finish. Not only that, when it comes to minor region teams, like I've always said, if you're new to the channel, I don't really watch minor regions. I watch the 4 majors. Later today, I'll have a video out where I go over some more minor region stuff like I did last week. No games in the major regions today, so I am going to probably hit on Isurus and Astral playing a rematch in the finals, where obviously Isurus comes out ahead over Astral Esports, who was the top Latin American team all year long, pretty much. Also going to probably look at the Turkish league because Nasser Turkey fell to a team's name I can't pronounce, and frankly Nasser Turkey was supposed to be really good and they failed in the end, so watch that. Probably PSG and J team, maybe Detonation Focus Me Sengoku Gaming. Just some series off the top of my head that I might watch and then briefly touch on in a video later today. I've also began my memberships, so that's in the approval process. Once that's approved, you will be able to get extra content if you pay, like, I think it's going to be $10 a month for like badges in the comments. Then I see your comment for sure and I comment on it and reply to you. But more so for the extra content, which will be my predictions on how I think winners, losers are going to be, like for games, if you are into esports betting, gambling, legally, things like that. In addition, I'll also be doing NFL American football content in a similar fashion, maybe a bit more. That remains to be seen, but that'll come out later on this week. So, Isurus, Worlds 2022, now that you've been sitting through my video for 2 minutes. Latin American representative. Their coach, Uker. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Uker. Or Uker. Or, yeah. MSI 2017 was the only time they have taken a trip as a coach to a international event. They would go 1-5, finishing in tie for last place. So that was the last time this coach has been to MSI or Worlds. Latin America's recent finishes in 2019 at Worlds, they finished 17th, 20th, 2020, 19th, 20th, 20, 21, 21st, 22nd. So they have struggled recently at international events. That is why I have nerfed their stats when it came to algorithm all summer long. MSI results were not great. So that's what happened with that. When it comes to their 5 players, very inexperienced roster as well. Outside of mid lane, they have 0 Worlds or MSI experience. Their 2 imports are in top and support. ADD has played with MVP, if you recall, in the LCK, as well as BLG in the LPL, so he's been around the block. However, his stats in the LLA playoffs was not that great. A 3 KDA is okay, but 7.3 CS per minute. He played 6 champions in 18 games. Half of them were Ornn. He pulled out a Shen, which is something to note. I want to include like weird champion picks on here, but really, I mean, in the case of jungle, and I mean the other 4 roles, really it wasn't too out of whack, but a Shen was kind of weird. We haven't seen many of those in 2022. But so you played Ornn 8 games, so your CS is going to struggle, but 7.3 on the team that wins, like in a minor region, is really troublesome. I feel like this team is going to have a serious problem in top. 62.2 KP, 22.2 damage share. I used Games of Legend for some of these stats. Well, for these stats, 500 damage per minute. On average, he was behind in lane at 15 minutes. Whether it was CS, Gold, XP, he was behind. And he had 5 solo kills in top lane. So that's all in playoffs, by the way, and they played 18 playoff games because they had to take a trip to losers bracket. But it's clear why this guy has been sent to Latin America from the LCK and LPL. Clearly does not cut it, and honestly, frankly, these stats are not cutting it in Latin America. Grell in the jungle, 2.9 KDA, 5.5 CS per minute, okay, 67.3 KP. So we're looking a little bit below where I'd want it to be. KP is 70 when you got a 5.5 CS per minute, but close. 17.4 damage share, makes sense, 421 damage per minute. Mixed results on the 15 minutes, usually ahead in gold but behind in XP, I believe, or it's vice versa, which actually makes a big difference. I should probably have actually remembered that. 2 solo kills, played 7 champions in 18 games, very standard champion pool. You know, the parties that we all know, Wukong, Trundle, Viego, things like that, like normal champions that we're seeing picked. So Grell is not going to really pull out any, you know, rabbits out of his hat, and frankly, I feel like after looking at this team's entire stats, which we'll get to and it'll make sense, I feel like this team really plays to bot, which gives the jungler, you know, less of an opportunity to, like, you know, get himself ahead at 15 minutes because he is trying to emphasize getting bot lane ahead. Seiya in mid is clearly the experienced party on this team. 7.3 KDA in the playoffs, carried them at an 8.2 CS per minute, which is above 8, which is good. You want it to be up near 8.5, but 8.2 is okay. 67.8 KP is very high. 26.9 damage share, led the way for the team in damage, which is notable. 63.6, 636 damage per minute, pretty high. Now this is where I say they played a bot, because even he is behind at 15 minutes across the board in CS, gold, and XP. Trying to play the bot lane, probably getting around the rift, as well as you know, they're really trying to emphasize getting bot ahead. That's pretty much what I keep getting at. 4 solo kills, 8 champions in 18 games. Azir, LeBlanc, Swain, you know, likely parties, maybe a little more LeBlanc than we're used to, but I don't know if he's quite at a level where he's going to play LeBlanc. Now his 5 trips to international events, 2017 MSI, 8th, 9th. So he went with Euchre on that one, where Euchre was with Isurus at the time, and Seiya's been around to a few teams. 2018 MSI 9th, 10th, 2019 10th, 12th, Worlds 2017 17th, 20th, Worlds 2019 17th, 20th. Because Leaguepedia does not have as in-depth stats as Games of Legends, we only have like the real basics here. At international events in play-ins, he is 14 and 19 overall, which is actually not that bad. 332 KDA, which is not bad. I mean, when you think about how poorly Latin America really plays at international events, a 332 KDA is not awful, especially because I nerf assists. Like, my KDAs are usually lower than what you'll find because I consider assists half a kill, where standard KDA is kills and assists are created equally, and I frankly do not believe that. 856 CS per minute is very good, so you have to keep this in mind. 64.4 KP as well, so pretty standard for him. He gets around, you know, he gets around and doesn't really side lane too much and worry about himself. But so 856 CS per minute, there's something to note here. At his last international event, he was struggling. I think he had below 8 CS per minute, but that would make sense, right? Because 8.2 CS per minute this past playoffs in Latin America, struggling to really get ahead in lane, and actually, frankly, 8.2 is probably not getting ahead. So your strongest player is probably going to be limited. So, I mean, honestly, Astral had me a little more hyped than this does with Boogie in the jungle, but we'll get to that later today on why this team was able to win, and, you know, get a vibe for how, you know, how they might play at play-ins, right? Gavado in bot, no Worlds experience, 3.2 KDA, 9.1 CS per minute, okay. It's above 9. Is it great? No. 62.8 KP, 25.1 damage share, pretty low damage share, though. You want that to be the highest on the team, and it is not. 586 damage per minute. However, ahead in a big way in all three facets, XP, CS, and gold at 15 minutes. Quite ahead, actually. So really, you have to look at that and think to yourself, okay, well, this team is playing to bot, which is what I've said all video long. Like, why else would everyone else be behind, but they're ahead? Like, they're clearly going bot lane trying to get these guys ahead. 2 solo kills in 18 games, played 7 champions. Jelly, former LCK, or at least in the system, LCK support. 4.1 KDA, 74.5 KP. That's high. Those are good numbers for a jungler. Getting a little frisky and in the nitty gritty with these stats. Every 3 minutes, he clears 1 ward, which you may say to yourself, oh, well, okay, well, it's a support stat, right? And on average, he places 4.5 wards every 10 minutes, so 9 wards every 20 minutes. I mean, think of that for what, you know, make of that what you will. Played 11 champions in 18 games, a lot of Alistar, which was kind of weird. We've seen some Alistar around, but we haven't seen anybody really emphasize it, where Jelly's played it a couple times. No Worlds MSI experience. I think this team is in for it. This is going to be bad. Like, play-ins is going to be rough. If you are a Latin American fan, though, comment down below. Why do you think this team is better than what the stats indicate? Who is, you know, the star player? How do you think they're going to do at Worlds? I know my CBLOL fans are usually pretty tame and, you know, are realistic. So I want to know what the Latin American community thinks about their team. You know, are you disappointed that Astral isn't going? Are you disappointed? Maybe Infinity had a couple good players on it too, noteworthy players. So how do you feel about Isurus going forward? Like the video if you like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Eventually there will be a Worlds 2022 playlist where you can just go through the videos and learn about the teams as the event draws closer. Discord link is in the description if you want to go to the Discord. There's going to be predictions and a extra little thing I'm going to do for Worlds that might be fun for some people. So, you know, hang out in the Discord, wait for that sort of stuff, and thank you for watching.